Yeah, thank you for being here. Well, so this is, I said it's an interview, but I will try to make it casual. Like, let's say it's like a Sprechstunde. Sprechstunde. Yeah, so it's more like I will ask you questions about my life and why what, because I'm a student, so I'm confused with everything. So what should I do here? Like, there's so many things happening, but I haven't done much in the space. What do you recommend in the next 1 day and a half? What can I do?
So what did you do so far?
I did hubs. Most of the hubs you can. The link is somewhere. I will put the link.
There, actually.
The link. Yeah, you can. But
Do it now. And back.
yes, I don't think I will do video editing. There's hubs, and Jeff did the project. He's not here right now.
He was standing there, but he actually does the portal in the background.
Yeah. Maybe you can talk about Jeff's project in a very informal way.
Informally, Jeff's project is to make like this combination between the digital world and the how would you call it, the real world, basically. The real world, the physical world.
The physical world?
This space here. And so he is trying to make a connection between the hubs world that Naoto created and this space over here. And if you look behind us, you can see a blue screen now because the computer just shut off. But usually you would see like a portal back there that shows the innards of hubs. I will give the microphone to Karin now and turn on the computer so you can actually see it.
Yeah, because actually Jeff is the one who really embodies our main motto, the portal.
He's a real student.
He's a real student. He's one of the
Where are
real.
the other students?
No, that's not true. But
Well, Vidisha is here.
Vidisha is here, and you are here, and well, the portal is is like the starting point for all of us. But actually, Jeff,
Who's
just
coming there? Who's
joining
just
us,
joining? Yeah.
really plays with it.
Yeah.
Where are the other students?
Well, where are the other students? That's a very good question. We don't know it yet. Maybe they have been soaked up by the portal,
Maybe
teleported to another place.
to another dimension. Possible.
They are in their own spaces.
True.
Because we had the before, so this is like 1 week of like block seminar for the block party. I like this idea because it's a block seminar and it's like a block party. On the block.
Sitting on a city block. In a city.
Yeah, and sometimes we have some blocks. What is it? But we had some weeks to prepare, and we had this mural board and stuff. We had many ideas, I think. So where are they?
What do you think would happen?
What?
What do you think would happen?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, something is happening, right? Like there are like some sculptures, and something is happening, I think. But is there like a showing at the end, or is like the whole thing is a showing?
Yeah, well, the main idea was, as we told in all the meetings beforehand, that we wanted to do something during the week and play with the space, with ideas we had before, and also to just be here and experiment or try something out and not work only to the end of the week.
Yeah.
Because this is, it was one of the opportunities for, especially in this time now, to finally go out again and try something out.
Yeah. And getting in touch with like people passing by. Like how do you actually engage with people passing by? How do people notice that there is actually something going on?
Actually, that's a good point. Did you find any interesting people walking, like passing by?
Oh, a lot. There were a lot of interesting people walking by. I do not want to specify them. So if you will probably see some in Naoto's other documentations, but there were a lot of interesting people passing by actually.
We met some very lovely people, yes, and very unique characters.
Yes,
all
a
with
lot
their
of,
very,
a
very,
lot of unique characters. That's especially. Yeah.
and they all carry their special items.
For example?
There's this one guy with its jukebox,
Yeah.
passing like every 1 hour with
Yeah.
the same tracks.
So you got a walking techno party.
And today, a very nice, lovely old lady came by and asked about what is this beautiful graphics you see all over Germany, and she meant the QR codes.
Yeah.
And so we got to talk about it. And basically, we had a very nice talk about sharing space. And she was actually she cried a little bit when she saw the nest for a bird which is not there anymore, for the
Yeah.
imaginary bird, because she thought this idea is really. She said it was very touching because what she misses most here is the connection to nature. And then we exchanged cookies because she had some cookies and we had some cookies, and so we said goodbye.
Okay,
Things like this happen.
nice.
And all the people who are more or less preparing something and then just putting in a space, they miss the chance to witness these kind of situations. That's a bit sad, a pity, but that's like it is. Maybe they experience something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope so. And well, there's still 1 day left tomorrow, and perhaps everyone will be here then.
Hopefully.
And if not,
Everyone, including this random people. We should have this jukebox guy as a kind of this,
The
the
DJ.
star.
Yeah.
He's a headliner.
Yeah.
we make a poster for him and everything. Yeah, it's a good idea.
We could now write the schedule already because we know when he will come back.
Yeah, true.
It's nice, and then he's already invited.
Yeah. And he's always smiling. He looks nice.
So we know a lot about this place now, and then we will move back to our own places after this week.
But that's sad because now we kind of live in this space, right? And we have to go back. And I was like personally thinking about like making documentation, and like after this week I will work a little bit more on the content. But I don't know if you have any plans. I mean, you probably have some duties to document what's happening. But is there anything what is happening after this week? Because people will ask you, so how was CityLeaks?
Pass the microphone. It was very dusty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the most dusty thing I ever experienced in my life because everything is dusty. And something I will miss. From like yesterday on, I start to feel not comfortable. I feel comfortable, but I start to like this place. Before it was like a bit like, But maybe it's because when we started working here, it was only raining all the time and super cold and super wet. And now it's a bit populated. People are here
You meet people from other
projects, from other artists.
yeah, from other artists. We start to speak more into the CityLeaks people, which is also nice, which wasn't like this before. Yeah.
I actually liked also that we talked more.
Yeah.
No, so because it's the first time that we are working together,
Yeah.
or made a seminar, and also to get to know you and Jeff and Vidisha a little bit more. So even if not everyone is coming, well, they missed out, of course, but I think the small group who was here
Yeah.
did exactly what is
Yeah,
supposed to be happening. No, it's and of course sometimes well, you wish, or I wish, that it's more vivid and more expensive, etc. But I always hope that there's a continuation and not of documentation, because this is like, I have to do this, okay? I want to do this because I would like to keep something of it, but I think there will be other opportunities to do something and perhaps concentrate more with less people or something. I don't know.
But if I may, because what I find really interesting, like all critique aside, that some people are here more than others, it is really interesting, like, because this was one of the things that we said in the beginning. We want this to be a developing and changing space. We don't want this to be like, there should not be one final output of it. This was never the idea, this was never the intent. So what I find super interesting now is like seeing this space evolve. Because for example, today, it looks very much different than it looked yesterday. And yesterday, there were a lot of people here. We had this DJ set. There were a lot of people visiting. There was one spontaneous spike of people giving attention to this space suddenly. And what I find interesting in those situations is how does this occur? Like why does this happen? Why does it suddenly happen that people pay attention and are here? And this is actually something really interesting to look at and into, because that is, for anything that we do, this is also interesting.
What happened yesterday was that at one point people stopped working, like developing, stopped their processes, and at the same time you could see that guests started to question and to ask and to get into dialogue. So this actually for me I never saw it like a switch in that way. That really you see, okay, 2 or 3 people going to Jeff.
Yeah.
Other ones are standing next to Rebecca playing the first tracks on the set, and then.
Yeah.
So this was really like, from that moment it was like a flip to exhibition place or meeting room or whatever you will call it, and the workspace atmosphere was gone. And we prepared it a little bit. We put away all the tools and all the garbage and waste, so we cleaned up a little bit. But it's still rough looking, everything. And there was no labels you would find in a gallery or so people need to ask. And maybe this is a good thing.
Yeah,
because it's obvious that there is something which is not naturally occurring, which should be some kind of artwork or whatever outcome. So maybe this really evokes the moment of, I want to get into this, I'm interested, I'm curious. It's blinking, what is it? It's sounding why?
Yeah.
And also because Bedisha put all her stuff there, no, and she was also stopping at one point, I think. And it was clear that you couldn't look at it like it's a piece, but something which is somehow evolving into something, and that's making everyone curious.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one of the difficult thing, interesting thing in this space is like it's hard to imagine what's going to happen. Like it's hard to plan. I mean, you can plan what to bring and you have some ideas, but of course you try to set it up and it's really dusty and it's really there's some constraints, but it's in a good way. I want to ask one maybe related question, but this is obviously a unique space and people walking by just like in front of us, but like people have to stop because to see it, obviously, because it's not like in a park where you like cross by, but this is something you have to like stop and look into it because it's not really, it's facing the street, but it's kind of also a little bit in the back. Like how does it? Well, it's not really a question, but I thought it's really interesting because they have to really pay attention, and also like I like to see like now like, there's like a someone biking and like if you're biking or if you're driving, they should pay attention to the front, but they look at what's happening.
If I may, because this is something that we noticed with All Your Base when we were building All Your Base all the time. Which I find interesting. Like if you have these open spaces, your process as an artist also changes a lot because you have this feeling of you are in some sort of a performance all the time, and you constantly have to basically show something. Like even if you are in a process, you constantly have to show something. And I have like a tiny feeling that this is not for everybody. Like this is like. This open space and sharing your process, this is not something that all people enjoy the same way. Like, and I know it for myself. Like, for example, when we are working with All Your Base and we're just setting up like visuals or mapping the space or trying out different things. Sometimes it's like really distracting because then you notice in the side of your eye, you notice that somebody's looking now. So you are like, oh shit, I'm actually working on this now, but I better show this nice visual because otherwise they will turn away. And then, like, because the process doesn't look like much always. So, and this is something also like this, which I find super interesting to just experience and look at and discuss.
And of course, if you're concentrating on something, then you can't really engage with other people all the time because either you're in the explanation mode and in the presentation mode, or you're in really concentrating and trying something out, etc. mode, and then you have to cut off yourself a little bit, or with your partners, of course. But strange sounds. Well, there's also always something happening here. Yeah. I don't know. I lost my track.
Yeah, but this is well, I think this is actually a good point because this space has like also like so many layers. Like there's obviously train, cars, bikes, pedestrians, and the windows, like facades of the neighbors.
Living there,
Yeah. And actually, also there are some birds passing by in the sky. Yeah, I was like yesterday actually like drawing like a sketch of different path that there's car, there's train, the birds. I was thinking about doing something with it, or maybe not, because it's also like I wanted to think about like. On one hand, I wanted to say something about the space, like kind of make a manifestation of, this space should be like this or this place is like this. But at the same time, on the other hand, like this itself is like, it's like I feel like it's an unfortunate space that makes it really interesting. But
this is literally why CityLeaks exists, right? Because this is an unfortunate space because the city is not happy with what it looks like. A lot of people are very sad that this space looks like it looks because it could be so much more. And this is actually what they are trying to do with CityLeaks, which I find quite fascinating.
Yeah,
but
and they're trying to jump into the missing link somehow because the city doesn't know how to cope with this, and the owner of the train, the Deutsche Bahn, doesn't know how to deal with it. The person who is renting it also doesn't know what he's doing, I think, but I don't know. Who knows? But there are all these conflicts in between parties, and then there's CityLeaks who tries to somehow create something in between, and also like this public garden, etc. And of course, sometimes it seems naive, but I think if nobody's doing it, then it won't exist, no? And then nothing will change.
Yeah. And it does what it does. It draws attention, it draws focus. And I think that this might actually change something here in this space. So this is very interesting.
At least changes for the people working and taking part and looking by and having, it's just somebody looking funny inside the arc, so it's these nice moments. And so you're on your way home, and then you see some people talking to some funny microphone. I think I would love it to see it on my way home.
Yeah.
So it's also those moments.
But can I ask you something, going back to this idea of people passing by and experiencing what you are doing? Like, for example, for you, does this change how you do your thing? If people are watching, like, does this change the process, how you're working?
Well, this time I'm not really working, so I cannot really relate this time.
But you put a lot of stuff together and you helped a lot. So.
But when I do, like, let's say exhibitions or like show my work, mostly they're super fragile, so I have to stand next to it or give instructions, and always like people interact in a wrong way, which is really fun because.
But this is when the piece is finished, right? Not during the process.
Right, but I think, yeah, exactly. That's a difference, but that's I mean, from my background, like when I make interactive installations, it's always something that I have to cope with randomness of people. Sometimes with kids, sometimes they don't do it as you expect with Kinect or with some sensors. But of course, when I make something in front of people, that's different. I mean, I think one thing that I can relate is like workshops I give. Like last weekend was a Hydra live coding workshop, and that's, like people join with different backgrounds. Some people haven't done coding. Some people are more fluent with coding, and somehow we end up with coding together, and we have this projection in the back, and it was really fun. But yeah, that's maybe a little bit different because I know what the workshop is something I already know, so it's not something. But at the same time, there's like uncertainty in the workshop. Although I know what I'm going to tell, like I just improvise a little bit, and sometimes I find interesting shapes, interesting things or like people ask random questions on the chat. Can I do this? Can I do that? Which I try to follow up, like pick up the questions instead of ignoring and answering it at the end, because I think it's nice to break the kind of this linear process of like a structured workshop, or just to like also like this interview formats. I've been experimenting a little bit how to make it kind of non-linear in a way that it's not that we start with the introduction, because I could do it like that way, but then it's a bit too formal, and it's a bit boring, and well, I don't know, it depends, but I don't know. So this time, but I specifically for this week, I was thinking about not trying to finish something, but just hang around and see what's there. So in that sense, I think it's going well, and I don't know if I learned anything, but no. I mean, it's an experience. But I still want to do something in the last day. I want to show something. I don't know what, but I'm just thinking, and maybe I don't show it, or maybe I do performance or something. I don't know. I think it's nice to do a performance here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess what I wanted to add, because I actually have been thinking about this again and again, this making art in front of other people while they're watching, because for me it always changes what I do, and I always end up doing simpler things that are faster because I need faster, quicker output, and it usually doesn't mean that I can do like fancy, complex stuff if I'm working in front of other people watching. And I think this also comes from this background that Toby and I have, which is like that we are actually musicians, and especially jazz musicians, because we are factually like taught to be creative while being watched at. So be creative on stage is the job description, basically. And I think this is also like talking and rounding this all off, I think, is why some people like to be here, like they enjoy this process, and some people they can only be here like punctually and do something very quick and then leave. Or there were also some people that really prepared something ahead of time, and they just use this time that we have here as their exhibition time, which is also fine. So there is actually a lot of engagement, but I think like people deal with this situation completely differently. This is, I think, what I wanted to point out. Yeah.
I was just noticing that you said being creative in front of other people, or like during being watched, no?
Yeah.
But you mean actually that you are also doing something which is evolving during your process, and not something which you thought ahead of and then built, for example. Because when I'm thinking about doing something or doing an installation, I have to plan ahead. Mm-hmm. And of course I could improvise in sort of like drawing or something, but if I want to build something, then I can build in front of others, because I don't care. I don't have to think everything through and test out, because I already know what I want to do.
Yeah. But you don't then. you can only function then in this moment when, or is this what you're saying? Like you can function in the moment, even if people are watching, if you planned ahead.
No, yeah, I could do this, but it's also that I have to plan ahead to build something, because otherwise it would be something different. Well, because when I'm building something, it's much more something mathematically based, for example.
Yeah.
And this could be done also in this place, but then somebody would see me drawing or doing calculations, cutting stuff, building.
Yeah.
So it's not really, you also see perhaps the form evolving, but it's something different than if I would do something like animations in front of others. So this is something which you see at once. What is your thought process changed into visuals, for example?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking aloud, because I'm just now thinking, is this perhaps a question of materiality? What kind of materials you're using?
True. Yeah, probably. And also what process you are using.
Yeah, for example, if you're using like softer materials like clay or so, you could also see the process of a evolving form or structure.
Yeah. Or like for the CityLeaks festival, they have the tape art over there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is always like in front of other people. You do this while people are watching. So there is no other way of doing this. Or there's even tape parties, I guess. So
well, I like it.
I love it. Yeah.
So should we like have like closing words, or without closing words we abruptly close, or I don't know, I'm just trying to think, but I'll try to upload this tonight so people might see it. I don't think my subscribers are mostly, I don't think they are in Cologne, but maybe we'll have exposure, or people see it later and they really regret that they missed CityLeaks the last day. That from this conversation, I think something amazing will happen in the last day of CityLeaks that will be like you should never miss, but you missed it because
Yeah, and you will do something tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good closing. I think I will do something spectacular.
Yeah, but actually you did the whole week. You did something, but tomorrow you will do some more. Not something more, but some more.
These were the final words.
Okay, I think I'm gonna upload this video after the last day, so people will never see it in real life. Okay, thank you for being here, and good luck for I wish you good luck for the last day closing of the blog seminar.